It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso on S3. And when they say when your personal life is in shambles, it's due for a promotion at work. That's from one of my favorite movies, The Devil Wears Prada. And in all honesty, work is good for mental health, but a negative working environment can lead to physical and mental health problems. And these issues can lead to decreased productivity, poor working relations, as well as increased sick-related absenteeism. And it can also compromise your workplace safety. Now, today we want to discuss mental health as it relates to the workplace. And our panel consists of health coach right in the middle, Ryan Botha. We are also joined by the lovely radio personality, Sherlyn Barnes, as well as our resident clinical psychologist, Slindile Mbata. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Such an important conversation.
It's a big one. And we do encourage everyone at home to please do join in on the discussion. Send in your voice notes. Our WhatsApp line is live and ready to get those in. It's 063-408-8863. Slee, maybe we'll start with you. Work and mental health. I mean, those two often get seen on the same sort of line because stress, work stress, mental health as a result being affected, that does happen quite often.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. You know, I think work is one of the places where it will be your biggest source of stress. It's sort of like it takes up a huge proportion of your day for a lot of people who do work. So there's quite a lot that can happen in the work environment that actually contributes to either, as Zoe said, to mental health, to feeling good, if you're satisfied and happy with your job, but also if things are not going so well, it really can be the beginning of a huge downfall.
Oh,
and it's a scary one because mental health issues can't always be seen, and what you do see is the after effects of it's reached a certain point already. Sherlyn, this question's for you because I remember being in the car and just hearing the tail end of your story when you were sharing what had happened to you. And I remember going back, making a point of it to listen to the podcast. When you shared your journey, what led up to that point for you?
Sure, Zoe. It was a lot, eh? And unfortunately for me, like with so many other people, when I realized something was up, it was too late. I don't know if we've been in a car where you check the tank. You can see the petrol tank is closer to empty, but I'll make it to my next stop.
I know my car.
I know my car.
I can push.
We'll be okay. Just one more stop. So that is where I thought I was. I could still make another pit stop. And I went to a therapist thinking that this is the little bit that I need for me to get to December to make it through the year. And instead of making a pit stop, I completely broke down. So that is what happened. And I didn't have any other choice but to just sit there looking at, me and breaking. And then the only thing you can do after you've sat in there, after you've accepted that you're not okay, is to accept help and support, to understand that you are not alone in this, that you are worthy of love and light and care. And once I was ready to acknowledge that I wasn't okay, then I was able to say, please help me, because I'm not going to be okay by myself. And so thank you to professionals like yourself. Thank you like health coaches like yourself. I've realized that if you want to be healthy, you need to be deliberate. Not just about your mental health, but your physical health, because all of these things are connected.
And they really are connected, right? I mean, you spend an awful amount of time having to work on people who come in as a result of having had mental health challenges. They find that their bodies have responded to that sort of pressure. What sort of effects can a toxic work environment have on our physical being and our physical body? Because some people think, no, you'll just sleep more, or no, you'll have headaches because, you get tension headaches. But it's more than that sometimes, right?
It's a lot more. If you look at the last 2 years with COVID, seeing people come in to start training again slowly, they're walking already at their tank being half full. So my job as a health coach or a fitness trainer is to get the best out of a person to find their balance in their lifestyle. Now, if they're already walking at a deficit, how do you make them feel better? How do you get their endorphins up? How do you make their mood feel better? So a toxic environment really makes you feel like you're walking into a space in a dark shadow, and that dark shadow can get heavier and heavier. So with fitness, we do try and obviously encourage, and you've got to try to find that balance to push them without breaking them, because already they are fatigued.
Yeah.
So you see that heavy strain, and you walk in, you can hide easily behind a smile, but you can't hide when you start moving, and you can start seeing the heaviness in a person's body. Really.
Slee, I sometimes feel like some companies do, others still don't, but they don't take the employees' mental health seriously. How is that that's still the case, where when it comes to a co-worker or employee's mental health, that it's still being overlooked in the workplace?
Yeah. Zoe, I think this is something that we just see maybe in society in general, that the mental health side of things is generally taken for granted. I think maybe there's a tendency to think of people just as kind of, contributors to resources. Yes, you're a resource to production. You can help improve our profits, and you're not necessarily seen as a whole being with an emotional side, with a psychological side. You're just kind of expected to deliver. So I think taking for granted of the employees' mental wellness and emotional wellness really is, it's really going on a slippery slope, because ultimately you won't even be able to achieve the goals of your business if your employees are not well.
There we
It's
go.
a people-first approach, a people-centered approach, and that's the conversation we're having this morning. It's all about zoning in on mental health, specifically mental health in the workplace. How well are you mentally? Please do weigh in. Send us those WhatsApps, 063-408-8863. And of course, our panel this morning is going to be on standby to answer some of your questions and hear some of your experiences as well. Stay with us.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, yes, it is. Your feel-good breakfast show. It's Expresso. We're live here on S3. It's a Monday morning. All the reason to smile, but all the reason to really do some self-care and check ourselves, okay? And we're back with our discussion about mental health in the workplace, featuring our panel of experts, Ryan, both Sherlyn Barentz, as well as Lee Bata. And earlier on, we explored some of, the negative effects of a toxic work environment on our well-being. And it really can be so dire. And we delve a little deeper now into that discussion, still encouraging you at home to join in on the discussion by sending in those WhatsApps, and they have been coming through, so please do keep them coming in on 063-408-8863.
So before we get to those WhatsApps, Sherlyn, I think as individuals, you were talking about that tank that is empty, and we keep thinking we can push to that next pit stop, we can push to the next. What are some of the lies we tell ourselves, or the things we're trying to convince ourselves that we are okay when actually we are not?
It's exactly what you said, and we are so good at it. And I don't know if we are so socialized into that behavior, because capitalism tells us that the show must go on, work must go on. Somebody needs to pay for your bond and your petrol. And I think we also tell ourselves that we are strong. And yes, we are, but it doesn't mean that we are not, that you don't need rest. It doesn't mean that you don't need to take a break. It doesn't mean that, you don't need some time off from work. So balancing that, knowing that, yes, I am strong.
Yeah.
And how do I replenish my energy?
Yeah.
How do I love myself every single day? How am I deliberate about it?
Yes, because I am that strong, I am able to do that for myself, right? Slee, I saw you smile, and almost just like, yep, I've heard this one before. People thinking that they find that they're all right. Is that a prevalent thing that just comes across a lot, where people say, no, I don't need a therapist. I'm fine. It's just stress. We all go through a patch at work for a year. Oh, we all go through a 5-year patch of stress.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people have a tendency to really normalize some of what it is that they're feeling, sometimes far too much, and you can make a lot of comparisons between yourself and other people, and you think to yourself, okay, well, everyone else at work looks fine, so I guess it's just me. And that's another one of the lies I think that are there. It's just, that comparison and not knowing what other people are going through. You can tell yourself that what you are going through, it's really, you're making too much of it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of things to look out for when it comes to this. It's very important to listen to your body, to listen to your mind, and see what it is that it's telling you. So if you are feeling tired all the time, even though you're sleeping well, you're well rested, if you start feeling very cynical, if you start feeling detached, if you start lacking motivation, and you can see even that your performance is changing, it's dropping, you're not yourself. Those are really the times I think you need to, especially if you see more of those in a cluster together. One alone may be fine, but if you start seeing all those things occurring together, it really is time to check what's going on. And I think also to pay attention to what is happening physically that correlates with that. Because sometimes we ignore what our mind is doing, we ignore the feelings that we're having, but the body, that's something that we tend to pay more attention to.
And Slee, sometimes your co-workers can also add to that. So what are some of the toxic traits that you have to be, aware of when it comes to perhaps a toxic boss or a toxic co-worker?
Yeah. I would say a big thing to look out for that tends to kind of multiply itself is boundaries. If you have co-workers or a boss that tends to kind of overstep in their boundaries, they want you to work a little bit extra time all the time, they encroach on your weekend when you're not supposed to work on a weekend. You're getting calls in the middle of the night about emails you haven't answered, things like that. But also people who tend to be inappropriate in their engagements with you. They may tend to kind of speak in a way that you feel is a put down. And you can question yourself. So, being wary of signs like, gaslighting, because those kind of abusive things also do happen at work as well. Yeah. So I think when you can see that somebody's encroaching on your boundaries, when you're feeling very irritable all the time around a specific person, usually it's one of the signs that something is not quite right there.
And it can be a ticking time bomb. Well, we asked you to send in those WhatsApps, and we've got our first one. This one is all the way out in Pretoria. It's Cindy. Let's hear what Cindy had to say.
Morning, Expresso team. With my current experience that I had so long ago, I was working and I decided that I needed to resign because the environment was very toxic that I got depressed. So I needed to remove myself from that environment so that I can start all over again. So it really helped. Your mental health is important. So in order for you to start all over again, you just need sometimes to take a break.
Yeah,
And that's
Cindy.
a big break. That's a big break to take and a huge step to step away from your employment, but being the strength to know that this is not a healthy environment for me. Ryan, when it comes to the physical side of things, what are some of the bad habits you see people start picking up when they neglect their mental health?
Well, the first thing starts doing is they start making excuses for training. You start hearing...
Hey, don't come for us.
I'm there right now.
Hey, don't talk about training.
I'm just saying, you start hearing it's cold. I didn't sleep well last night. I missed a meal. It's the excuses start. Also, the training starts. Everyone's got their own specific goals for their own training. What they're there for, but you start to see the shift change, and it doesn't quite achieve that, and they start looking for excuses as to why their training is falling short. A very clear one, like I said to you, though, is purely the excuses. The excuses start thick and fast, and they don't actually make sense. If you step yourself out your circle and you go, and what I was saying now, is it real? It's so blatant that it's not real sometimes. You can hear it, and it's a blatant excuse. And there's nothing you can do about it, besides motivate.
But exhaustion is real.
It is real.
Cardio's not my thing.
Cardio. There's so many ways. There's yoga you can get endorphins from,
But that is so relatable, Ryan. Sometimes when you need the gym the most,
you don't want it.
It's hard to go.
Absolutely.
You don't want to go. But I actually went back for the first time in maybe 2 years, and I reminded myself of this feeling, that post-workout feeling, and I tried to hold on to it, and hopefully I'll be back at the gym this week.
That's what I always say.
We're going to go back. We're going to go back.
Yes.
Okay. We're doing this. No excuses. I'm terrible. We're going to be back with our panel. Don't go anywhere, but if you want to weigh in with a voice note, give us a call. It's 063-408-8863. That is the number to use to send through a voice note.
My legs aren't strong.
It's my feel good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You are back in time as we continue our discussion about mental health in the workplace, featuring our panel of experts. We have Ryan Botha, Sherlyn Barnes, as well as Slim Mbata. And earlier we explored how a negative working environment coupled with, in fact, burdens of mental ailments can be devastating to your own health. Now, experts are now here and we want to leave you on a positive note. And they are also not only talking to you, but employers and how you can cultivate a more positive working environment. And we really encourage you at home to be part of this discussion. Please send through those voice notes. Our number is 063 408 8863.
In fact, voice notes, we'll get straight into it. Nono out in Joburg has quite a bit to say. Nono?
Back in 2020, I was admitted in a psychiatrist hospital because I was in an abusive relationship, and I opened my eyes when I almost got killed. He strangled me, and I was depressed and admitted in a psychiatrist hospital so that I can regain my life again.
No. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I'm so sorry that you've had to go through that experience. No. And it brings us to our first question around this subject, is that, yes, mental health in the workplace and mental wellness is important, but working from home, while most might think is an intervention to people who suffer with mental health issues at work, sometimes is a trigger where you are actually working from home in an environment that's constantly triggering memories and experiences of toxicity. Hey, do you find that that's happening a lot, that with mental, being in isolation or being in an environment that really is otherwise removed from the support of the office might be problematic too?
Yes, definitely. I think there's actually a lot of protective factors in the office space because it's completely separate, from your home environment. But as you said, there's a lot that can happen in the home environment that's actually can be quite disturbing and destabilizing, really, for your mental health. So, for example, I know Nono just shared that voice note with us, but you can imagine if you are in that same home where some of those things have happened, it can be very destabilizing for your mental health. So I think it's quite important to try and put things in place when you are exposed to that, or you know that working from home is going to be difficult. So definitely, having things like putting in a structure for yourself. When you're at work, you kind of know, I should be in a meeting at this time, I should be doing this at that time. But when we're at home, you just sort of want to wing it and see what happens during the day. Yeah. But really, as human beings, I think we thrive on structure. So having some kind of timetable for yourself, having a routine for yourself and making it regular. Get up, shower, eat your breakfast,
make your bed,
put on clothes, and kind of like set a tone to say, okay, I'm now putting on clothes. It doesn't have to be the fanciest clothes, but get out of the pajamas and get into work mode.
Mindset.
Yes, absolutely. And I think setting those times for yourself in the day as well, where you get to take breaks. If you were at work, you would be getting up maybe now and then to go grab some water, make a cup of tea. So setting that time to sort of get up, take a break, walk around the block, walk around your apartment, sit in the garden. All those things are very, very important.
It is very important. I love how you got very practical there. And Ryan, I know during the lockdown, you brought out a survival guide online on how to keep your mental health in tip-top shape. What inspired you to do that? And can you just tell us a little bit more about the survival guide?
It was exactly that. People going up for Zoom meetings and wearing boxer shorts and suits on top.
I've done that.
So it was, I was just thinking to myself, how do you keep your mindset strong and keep you driven in one direction? And I found, as human beings, we set goals and targets for ourselves. So a basic structure was, how do I start my day? Wake up in the morning, get up, make my bed, brush my teeth, have my breakfast. So that structure kept your mind moving forward. Otherwise it's very easy to sit there and just wallow in your own thoughts. Like you're saying, not actually being productive, doing your job like you should be doing. And being at home, working from home, I completely agree with you, can be actually self-sabotaging because you're sitting in this festering by yourself with no communication, anyone else around you. It can feel very lonely. So set those goals, wake up in the morning, set a to-do list for yourself, so that by 7:15, if you can include in there 50 minutes of movement to get your endorphins up, fantastic. But I just found having that structure kept you feeling like your life was structured and kept you moving forward.
Right, Sherlyn, we've got plenty of questions for you, and we want you to leave some of those practical tips yourself as well. But Ethel has something to say to us. She weighed in on a voice note. Ethel, good morning.
Good morning, Expresso team. The topic of today really triggered me. At the moment, I'm working in a toxic environment and I'm really, really, really depressed. It's not the first job. I worked previously at a company where I had to resign because of depression, because of the work environment, because of people, management not making my life easy, always backstabbing, and now I'm in the same environment. And like even this morning, I told my husband when I woke up, I don't feel like going to work. I feel like crying. I feel like just turning around. But now I need the money. You know, so I never thought other people also felt this way, that a working environment can really make you depressed.
Right.
But yeah.
Ethel, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, it's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we will continue this conversation later. I know, Sherlyn, for you to just get up and going and start your day ahead. How do you do it? Because you've had to restart and really get your mindset in the right way.
Before I answer your question, can I quickly just say something to Ethel?
Of course. Please.
So firstly, Ethel, thank you. Thank you for sharing. She just said that she thought she was the only one going through what she was going through.
Yeah.
And because she shared today, someone else is empowered.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. Ethel's there. So thank you for that. Back to what these incredible people also said, the importance of structure and control, and structure and routine. You need to control the things that you can control when everything is out of your control. So for me, the important thing is the power hour. I am very deliberate about how I spend the very first hour of my morning. I wake up at 5, I make myself a lovely cup of tea, I stretch and I meditate, and I learned a 5-step routine. It's not my own. I can't even remember who influenced me, but it works, and hopefully it'll work for you too. So just 5 steps, just 5 minutes. Step 1, breathe. Inhale all that serves you. Exhale all that does not. Inhale love. Inhale light, inhale goodness, inhale positivity, inhale confidence, and exhale. And then you put on a beautiful smile.
Come on.
Smile for a minute. You just sit there, close your eyes, open your eyes, and you just smile. Third, exhale, release, forgive, and start with yourself. I forgive myself for hurting myself. I forgive myself for hurting those around me. And I forgive those around me who have hurt me. And then gratitude. What are you grateful for today? You know, the more grateful you are, the more you'll get. And then finally visualize your day. What do you want for this day? What do you need to do? What do you want to do? And most importantly, how are you going to deliberately love yourself? Because it's your responsibility. My mental well-being is my responsibility. Yes, it's great that there are professionals, friends, and family that help me, but you are worthy of your own love first. And when you get that it's your responsibility, your ability to respond, beautiful things happen.
Power.
I love that.
Power
It
hour.
sounds like we have to be very intentional in the way that we approach this so that we're not digging into each and every single day. It's about really zoning into it, being very deliberate and intentional with our actions. Ryan, Slindile, and Sherlyn, you've been fantastic. Zoe, thank you so much for this beautiful, beautiful conversation. It continues on your voice notes all throughout the morning. Empower others through your experiences.